It is 5:30 and time to call the meeting to order. If you would, please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we've had a chance to take a look at the minutes from the last meeting. Anybody have any questions about those meetings? Is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented? So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yeah. And we have the fiscal officer's report. Do we have anything to report? Okay. And then we have the current bills, which we have had a chance to take a look at. If I have any questions about the current bills, is there a motion to pay the bills?
So moved.
Second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
And anything else under fiscal business? Okay, moving on to special activities. We have Sheriff Larry Sims and Commander Steve Aerosmith here to have a presentation about the Warren County Drug Task Force. Gentlemen, whoever wants to go first.
I'm used to following you.
Yeah, well, that's not necessarily good, so.
Okay.
If you don't mind, I'll just take a couple minutes, just kind of highlight the sheriff's office, as I've often been able to do over the last few years, and I appreciate the opportunity to do that. And then I'll turn it over to Steve to talk about the biggest issue that we all see happening, not only here, but across our country. But calls for service last year has been relatively the same, within 1,000 or so over the last several years, a little over 169,000 calls for service countywide by our office. House burglaries still remain a high priority for us. There's still a lot of property crimes that take place. Identity theft is certainly on the rise and has been for a while with technology, and a lot of those individuals are certainly trying to take advantage of. It seems like our elderly more than any age group of people. And with the topic that Steve's going to share with you, the other big issue that we've been facing is the heroin situation. And from the impact on the sheriff's office as a whole, it really affects not only our road patrol that respond to probably 1 to 2 overdoses, and probably more than that per week, but on the average a couple to 3 overdose deaths every month. But it's also significantly impact our jail, and it's you've heard me say this over and over and over again what our jail situation has been like. And this morning on in there we had 10 more males than we even had beds. So they were in the process of working with the courts to try to cycle those people out. A lot of the lower level offenders get pushed out in order to make room for those higher degree offenses. So that's certainly never good. Now, we aren't releasing violent people into the community, but we're at or over capacity almost half the time of the year now. Now, kind of the good news coming forward is the commissioners did sign a contract early last week with a company, a consultant, if you will, that's actually starting the process of assessing that bed need, that jail bed expansion. First meeting is next week. But they're also going to analyze the other alternative services that the county has to offer, whether it's there's mental health services that need expansion, or our drug rehab situation, which is certainly, as we can tell, on the rise, and the demand is certainly higher there. So it isn't just the bed space that they're looking at evaluating, it's all those services. And at the end of the day, and it takes about 4.5 to 5 months is what this process was lined out to be for this company. So late this summer we should have a recommendation from this company to the county commissioners that, for all intents and purposes says, the recommendation is this number of beds increase in this capacity for whatever that need might look like in the next 10, 15 years out. And if there's a recommendation to improve those other alternative services as well. I know the judges and courts across their county are very frustrated as well, because they have a hard time getting people put in jail that they feel needs to go there. So The other thing the county has improved on, they started a Vivitrol program here probably approaching 2 years ago now through Judge Peeler's court. And there are people that are in various stages of this program. That it's about an 18-month program, and there are people coming out towards the end of that where they look like they're going to be successful. And it's a 6-shot program in addition to programming, so those kind of things maybe can help those people that want to help themselves. And we officially in the county, I'm not sure if that's really good news because it demonstrates the need, but we officially have a drug court now in our common police court that will hopefully going forward when we look at these other services to still kind of keep maybe some of those people that we can get out and be productive and not just warehouse them in our jail. So if you don't mind, I'll turn it over to Steve and then stick around for any questions that anybody might have.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thanks, sir. Good evening. I have to use some notes to make sure I don't forget everything, but thank you again for having me back this year. I was here in the fall with Major Berkey, so it's nice to be around again. I plan to come around every year if that's okay, if you guys will give me a spot on the agenda just to provide an annual report, which I put up there for you folks to review. It basically, what I've found coming into this new role is a lot of people don't really realize what we have at the Drug Task Force and what kind of resources are there for your township and for this county. So I want to try to highlight that so that you know what we're all about. That annual report will give you just a little bit of history of the Drug Task Force. It'll let you know the full-time participation that we have, local, state, and federal law enforcement participation. Gives you an idea of what our structure is and just a few case highlights. No way for me to give you an update on every case that we had over the year, but gives you some idea of what we're out there doing. We do continue to be the only unit in the county that specializes in drug trafficking investigations. So that's why the task force concept really works in this county, because we don't have law enforcement agencies that are large enough to do this on a full-time basis. So everybody kind of coming together really works out well for us. So for 2015, we maintained a full-time staff of 26 full-time law enforcement, and that law enforcement and support personnel. We have 2 intel analysts that are provided by the Ohio National Guard that are also a part of our unit, so that's a nice help for us. I wish I could stand here and say that 2015 was slow and we were looking for things to do, but unfortunately that's not the case. So another busy year in 2015. We had 308 drug tips that came into our office. We investigated 356 criminal cases, which was a 77% increase from our 2014 numbers. We made 187 felony drug arrests, executed 79 drug search warrants, processed 17 meth labs, and seized 59 firearms for 2015. A little bit about what we're seeing, as the sheriff said, heroin is our biggest problem as it is all across the state and all across the country, and that's no surprise to anyone in this room here tonight. If you turn the news on at all, you're going to see a story about the heroin epidemic. In 2015, Warren County experienced 60 overdose deaths. That was a 42% increase from the 2014 numbers. So we're not heading in the right direction on what's happening with our heroin. It's still readily available in Warren County and throughout Ohio. To give you some idea, in all of 2015 we seized 12 ounces of heroin, and as of the first week of March we have already seized 7. And it might not sound like a lot of heroin, but what we see primarily in Warren County is your low-level heroin addicted folks, caps. You traffic stops with patrol guys that are getting 2-3 caps of heroin. So when you get up to 12 ounces, that's a lot of heroin caps. So big problem with that. It continues to be a priority for our office. We will keep it that way as long as we're experiencing these problems. So prescription drugs, something else that will probably always be on our radar. It accounts for about 20% of our investigations, the drug diversion problem. And I think now the connection between the prescription opiates and people turning to heroin as a result of pill addiction, that's been more obvious now than ever. So we have a full-time detective at the Drug Task Force who does nothing but drug diversion investigations all day, every day. And she's not running out of things to do either. You'll see in your annual review there, or annual report, Denny Lucan, I don't know if any of you ever met Denny, the last page there, he retired a couple months before Major Berkey did. So he left with 45 years of experience, and he was our drug diversion detective. So he trained his replacement, and actually is still on call for her today, answering many questions. So methamphetamine, we're seeing a big increase in methamphetamine. What we're seeing now, more so than the last few years, is crystal meth, which is coming up from the southwest border. Still getting locally manufactured meth labs here and there, but not like we were last year and the year before. So we just processed a meth lab over in Wilmington. City of Wilmington is also a part of our drug task force over in Clinton County, so we operate over there also. Fire departments, all of our fire departments across this county have helped us on meth lab scenes, so we greatly appreciate that. You'll see in there, I highlight a cocaine case that we did in 2015. That was 55 kilos of cocaine that was taken from an investigation at the Franklin truck stop. A lot of things, as you can imagine, coming and going out of that truck stop area that affects our whole county. So that was a huge case that bled over into the city of Middletown also. One thing that we're seeing this year, just to wrap this up, LSD seems to have popped back up a little bit on us going into 2016, which is something we didn't experience much of in 2015. You know, these things, it's kind of a roller coaster sometimes, and some of it we can't really explain. There'll be drugs that seem to be a trend this year, and they may fall off a little bit next year. They come and go, but LSD, we seized 1 unit dose of LSD in the whole of 2015 during drug trafficking investigations, and already this year we're over 200 down in the Mason-Deerfield Township area coming out of Cincinnati. So hopefully that doesn't continue across our county, but it's not uncommon for it to start in one area and take off across the county. So bottom line, as you know, everybody knows pretty much every drug that you could ever want, unfortunately, is out there, and Warren County's not immune from that. So we're doing the best we can, and if you need anything from me throughout the year, please call. Glad to come up and meet with you and talk to you. And thank you for your support. Chief Harrell, he's on our policy board still, comes to our monthly meetings, so he's briefed monthly on drug task force investigations, and we could not operate without the support of you guys and the support of jurisdictions who give us full-time bodies. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate the information, gentlemen. Anybody have any questions? Steve or Larry? No? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you
very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, next item on the, thanks, Joe. Appreciate it. See you. Next item is unfinished business. Anybody have any unfinished business to bring up? Jack, you have anything?
No, sir.
Okay. Under new business, we have resolution 4807, which is a resolution authorizing the township administrator to enter into a contract with the Hartford Life and Casualty Death and Dismemberment Insurance Company. This is a replacement of a former Hartford policy that.
Well, we're currently with Hartford for the life. Horan's had a little bit of a difficult time getting their hands around the policy through the Hartford, because I guess it's going through the OPEC formation, which I was not aware of. And so it was better, since we were not using Ohio Insurance and that was through them, to just go straight with the Hartford. So that's basically what we're doing, is making sure it's all there and Horan's able to deal with it from their end. Same plan provisions, same everything we had before, just re-upping it. It's going to have an effective date of March 1st. Not that matters. That's when they gave the quote for, and that's when it would start.
Is there a motion to approve 4807?
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Wade?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Then we have resolution 4808, resolution of intent to dispose of unneeded and obsolete, unfit personal property, including motor vehicle.
This is our standard using gov deals to auction items. We have to authorize, you have to authorize it every year, so the resolution does that. I did it now because there's office furniture as your next item to approve doing an auction for, but the resolution is just covering us to using gov deals and auctioning items through the website process.
Okay, is there a motion to approve 4808?
So moved.
Second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yeah. And now, as Jack mentioned, we do have some auction items to approve to be allowed to put on the auction list. They are, as indicated on our sheet. Anybody have any question about that? Is there a motion to approve placing these items on the auction block?
So moved. Second?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
And we have a purchase recommendation for, to replace a water heater. Get someone out.
Well, it didn't go out. We had an issue with it. There was some leaking. It's 12 years old. The plumber said it's about the time you replace a water heater. With the water issues we've had here in the past, I thought, I'm not gonna
Probably a good idea.
We
be
don't need another
advised of an
flood.
issue with the water heater above Jeff and Diane's, workspaces. This
Yeah.
is a price to do a tankless water heater, which seemed a better solution than having 40 gallons sit up there waiting to leak, so.
Okay. All right, anybody have any questions for Jack about this? We don't want,
Did we compare what just a 40-gallon would cost?
I think it was maybe 2,800.
Really? My goodness. That's a lot.
Yes, it is.
I'm surprised too. This is, did you check with anybody else on this? I priced these myself, by the way.
Yeah, I didn't. We've used Mitchell, so I got a price from them.
You might.
I can, it's a-
Yeah.
Yeah, because-
I can.
You know,
The tankless, most of the tankless heaters now are $1,000-1,200
I-
at most.
I talked to,
we don't use a huge volume,
what
or at
the,
least this, I don't think we do. Do we have a big volume?
who's the HVAC guy we use?
Watkins?
I talked to Randy at one of the chamber meetings about that, and he was about in the same price range as Mitchell's was, but he does the same sort of thing. I can ask him to give me a price.
Yeah, I would.
I'd like to see what, just a regular water heater, because.
You know, I just
For
had, I
residential.
just put a 60-gallon one in, an A.O. Smith 60-gallon, and I didn't do it myself. I put my 40-gallon in myself, but this was in a tighter spot, and I really couldn't get in there very well. But it was $1,200 for a 60-gallon one installed. I think we probably ought to look at that.
And get Jeff a number on.
Yeah. The other issue with these, I've had experience with these through what I do, the business I'm in. They are horribly expensive if you have to repair them. You might as well, about every time you touch them, it's gonna cost you $1,000 to repair them. And they're not as, truthfully, in my personal opinion, they're not as reliable. Even though I like the idea, they are cheaper to operate, but not a heck of a lot. But when they go out, you're shut down for sure. Now, you don't have the leaky. But anyway, I think you probably ought to shop that a little bit,
Okay.
if you don't mind.
No, I don't mind.
Okay, let's move on from that and go to, anything else from the administration before we go to the police district?
No?
Okay. Resolution 4809 in the police district authorizing the township administrator to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the city of Cincinnati for the local government safety capital grant program lease plate, license plate recognition participation agreement. Man, it's a long time.
Boy, does that ever need an acronym?
LPR. About 4 years ago, we, Cincinnati obtained some grants to supply Hamilton County and Warren County with license plate readers on vehicles. And they took the lead on that, they took the lead on gathering the information and so forth, and we rode piggyback on their grants, all the agencies in Warren County did. They're starting to reach their lifespan, and they're a expensive little item to replace. Since everybody's starting to have some problems, there's a grant that came open that Cincinnati is going to try to get to do a replacement program for all the units that they have overseen. We're just asking again to piggyback on that and asking for the board to approve us to piggyback on that and get those. We paid nothing for it. Costed me a little bit of a maintenance fee a year. I think it's about $700 for the 2 units, and so it's not real expensive on that end. But they're $15,000, $20,000 units. They were more than that 4 years ago when we got into them. So we're getting a sizable amount of grant on the backside. So they're hoping they can get that grant and resupply everybody with those units. So that's what we're asking for, just an agreement that we acknowledge we're piggybacking again.
Anybody have any questions about 4809? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Wade?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Question about that, Chief. How have you guys, over the last 3 or 4 years, however long we've had them, 4 years, I think, do you find them, I find it to be pretty fascinating that they can do what they do, but have you had anything where they really did a good job for us?
Yeah, our guys get warrant hits on them all the time.
Yeah.
As the cars pass cars, it automatically reads that plate and displays who it belongs to as they pass those cars.
Really?
And so it keeps the officer from having to constantly look at the license plate. So when you're in those cars, it's done for you automatically. That is downloaded into a database that the drug task force and other drug places use if they're trying to track somebody that's mobile, moving around as they are in this day and age. They go back and they can cross-reference those records for those license plates of those individuals and help bolster their cases on the backside of where they're traveling to and stuff. So they have been advantageous. If we don't get the grant, then I'm certainly have to weigh up whether or not we want to spend that kind of money to be back in that program as a standalone. But right now, if they can do it, that would be great. But there has been some successful use to it.
I saw a documentary on TV about an hour long and how some departments around the country, it was pretty fascinating what they can pull.
Yeah, you can drive through a parking lot and it'll read every plate that you pass by in the parking lot, tell you when it's expired, non-expired, warrant, things like that, so.
So it's got a radius as well?
Yeah,
I mean,
it constantly is reading when you're out there.
360?
And taking pictures. I think it's all front coming in.
180,
Yeah,
okay.
I think ours are all the front and on the sides, so they can go through a parking lot, grab the plates, or get oncoming. It's a fascinating technology.
Amazing.
Smoke license plate covers affect that, or just out of curiosity?
I don't know.
I've had state patrolmen tell me that they're harder to hit when they're using radar, because that's what they're taught to aim at.
Yeah, usually, when you use laser, usually it's a license plate. And some of them are made to deflect that. I think it was more effective on the old cone style radar than it is the new laser stuff, because you can pinpoint someplace on the car, but we haven't had too much control with it.
Interesting.
Okay. Next item is a recommendation to begin the part-time police officer hiring process.
Yeah, we don't have any current list available. Aaron Ledford, one of our part-timers who's been with us a couple years now, has done a great job. Aaron's been picked up by the city of Monroe. He's a full-time officer, and he's awaiting his appointment date to leave us. So we'll need to look to replace him, or we didn't have a current list, so we'd like to do a test and get a current list so we can be able to pick from that list.
Okay, is there a motion to direct the chief to start the process for hiring part-time officers?
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yeah. And then we have the purchase recommendation for the 2016 drug task force, which we just heard from.
Correct. What Commander Aerosmith didn't go into too much detail on is their funds have been greatly reduced. Federal government has come in, I think I mentioned this in one of the previous meetings, and they've taken over the equitable sharing program when you had seizures of money in cars and so forth that got turned in. We used to get a share of that for participating in that investigation. They're no longer passing that down to the local, they still want the seizures so they can keep the money. But that was a sizable amount of money taken from the drug task force operating budget. Normally, we've paid in the neighborhood of a little shy of $8,000 a year. It's supposed to be $1 per person per population. I think Minnesota brought that up maybe a year or two ago that we weren't paying that. That's catching up with us now. They're gonna have to increase that. They're using the 2010 census level, so they're asking for $14,074. You know, there's no way we could field a narcotics unit for that kind of money, and just the electronic stuff that we do with them, where they test all of our electronic stuff down there, not to mention even getting into the drug stuff. No way we could field a unit for that price, so I would ask that we again participate and authorize that money to them.
Okay, anybody have any questions for Chief about this expenditure? Is there a motion to authorize this expense?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Mearsclaw? Mr. Wade?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
And we have a grant submittal recommendation, a letter of support for the Warren County CAD system.
Warren County supplies all of our dispatching. They do that for free. A lot of counties, they charge their respective police departments and fire departments for dispatching. We've been able to escape that expense for years, and we're very appreciative of that because it would really hit my budget. I'm sure Bob's also. They're updating the 911 center down there where they built the building, and they're updating now the software, the CAD systems to operate that. It's my understanding the commissioners have again approved to purchase all the updates. And there's still not much talk yet about trying to pass that down anywhere, so we'd like to keep that away as long as we can. As part of that, Mr. Bruner down there, who does their EMA stuff, has found the same grant that Cincinnati's using to look for the LPRs. And you can collectively get agencies together and apply for this grant up to $500,000. He has talked to all the chiefs at the chiefs meeting and asked that we support them trying to obtain that grant to lessen the county's cost on that CAD system in order to kind of cut some of their costs down for that. So anything we can do to keep them from passing that down would be great. So I would ask that we support their seeking that grant to help supplant some of that money for the CAD system that they've authorized to be purchased.
Okay, so a motion to authorize sending this letter of support.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Wade?
Yeah.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Okay, and Chief, we have your annual report.
Annual and monthlies together is there. Seen a little bit of uptick in burglaries again, maybe 7 or some more than the year before. Seen a downtick in theft and petty theft kind of issues. Those are usually kind of our highest statistic. So you heard the sheriff talk about burglaries being up. It's hitting all of us. The drug bleed over for wanting funds. They're coming out of our areas and grabbing richer homes so they can get to their pots. So other than that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you've got about the monthly or the yearly.
Anybody have any questions for the chief at this time on his reports? Okay, anything else?
Just got notification today that there's another safest cities calculation been done by backgroundchecks.org. We have been named out of the 50 safest cities in Ohio on their ranking system, we're number 2. So I just pat my guys and gals on the back for doing a good job in our community for keeping the crime down and telling us when things are going wrong. So
Who was ahead of us? You're on.
yeah, I can't remember. I can get it for you. I don't recall. It wasn't by much. Springboro was 17th. Mason was further down, I think. And that Franklin actually beat Springboro. They were 14th. Did less crime per 1,000 population, I think, than Springboro did somehow. So,
Trustee.
no surprise, but
Yeah.
Nice job.
Yeah, good job, guys.
that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, fire district. We have a recommendation to post captain promotion exam.
And we have captain that's highly likely to be leaving us, and we would just like to get it posted and started in the process so we can be ahead of the curve. I'll provide you more details on that after the meeting if any of you would like.
Okay. Is there a motion to authorize the chief to start the captain promotion exam process?
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yes. And we have a step increase for firefighter paramedic Sean O'Neill from step 1 to step 2.
Just an annual
Annual.
contract.
Yep. Is there a motion to grant this step increase?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
And chief, we have the monthly report. Anything particular you want to point out on that?
We inspected our medic unit, and we had a very good trip with it. We had only 8 items to be fixed. It's scheduled to be delivered tomorrow. And hopefully everything will be taken care of. It's the factory that we visited has really gotten their act together. They had transferred everything from 2 other locations to 1 central location to build all of them. And the very first time it was kind of hectic when we were down there, not much got done. Got better the second time, and this time they were Johnny on the spot with everything, which was nice.
Excellent. Good. Good deal. Anybody have any questions for the chief about his monthly report? Okay, thanks. Thank you very much. Zoning Department, we have resolution 4810, a resolution authorizing an executive session to consider the appointment and compensation of a public official.
If we could delay that one till the end so that we don't have everyone have to wait while we're doing interviews,
Okay.
that would be great.
All right, do we need a motion to delay that? I don't think we do we, Jack? You want one?
You might a motion to just amend the agenda to put it last.
Okay.
That's about all you might do.
Okay, is there a motion to change the agenda and move this to the last item?
So moved.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Wade?
Yeah.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
And we have the monthly report, Jeffrey?
Yeah, I can answer questions in the monthly, just to bring your attention to, we have a subdivision that is on Harlan, Elizabeth, and 73 area. So think about where B&B Carryout is, this is north of that. They sold off what was a road frontage to 73 to Wellspring Baptist Church, and now trying to develop the rear, so just something that's out there that would have another access to our own road.
Something new coming.
Yeah,
Okay, great. Anything else from zoning at this time?
no, sir.
Okay. Roads Department, Scott, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Good.
Fuel pumps.
Yeah, I'm not sure how old those are. They came when you guys moved over here, no one knows, so
Well, we put them in right away, as soon as we moved here.
they were installed over there too, before they came here, they're the same ones.
Oh, they were the same ones we had in Springport and
Mhm.
downtown?
Yeah,
They're older and dirt.
they're the same ones.
Well,
They still got the reels on them, I mean, it's gonna be.
we've been here 20 years, right? So
Yeah.
probably 24, 25 years old. I remember when we pulled the in-ground tanks out down there. But that was, wow, I don't know, that's 30 years ago.
Yeah,
So they're old.
we've been having a lot of problems with them. I know the officers come in on the evenings and weekends and we're not here and they gotta prime them, they're getting fuel all over their uniforms.
So,
And it's just time.
well, things do wear out. I'd say we've got our money's worked out. Is there a motion to purchase these new fuel pumping mechanisms?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yeah. And we have a clutch repair.
Yeah, this is on our brush mower and tractor, and it's 10 years old, and
Fix a beat.
we've been fighting it for 2 years. It's actually started going out 2 years ago, and you can kind of fight them for a little while, and it's getting to the point now to where it's kind of jerky and actually kind of bounced Ryan's head off the glass once, so he said he can't fight it anymore, and they got to split the whole engine, and they've got a row of combines up there, so we want to get it in as soon as we can so we can get it back in time. When we did the Ford last time, it took 6 months, so
Oh,
we'd like to get it in there and get it done for the season, so
yeah.
I don't think we'll have as much of a wait going to JD as we did with the Ford, but so.
No, I wouldn't think so either, but nevertheless, need to get it in, okay. Anybody have any further questions about this? And is there a recommendation to put this up to JD Equipment, get this clutch replaced?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Where's the work gonna be done on that?
JD Equipment,
Where is it?
John Deere.
I know.
Well, we
um,
can- there's several.
On 68.
Okay. Monthly report, Scott, anything particular?
Well, we've only used 700 ton of salt. Looks like we're done for this season. We can add to that in December, so we'll see how much of it they make us actually purchase of the 1,800, but I'm thinking we're gonna be tarping and loading the front of the barn down there with salt. We only had 7 call-outs for it, so we only had to go out 7 different times for the events, which is, I think last year we had 19. But last year's all hit during normal work hours, so the overtime's not a whole lot different, to be honest with you. It's kind of strange the way they fell this year, so.
Yeah.
It's better to have the salt in the barn than on the road, so. Just-
Well, we had it tarped there when we did the big joint venture with Springboro, so if we did it then, we can do it now. It's no big deal.
Yeah. Anybody have any questions for Scott? Okay. Before we go to executive sessions, anybody have any staff, any updates or anything? Staff, anybody have any questions or comments?
I have a quick question about going back to the water heater. That's not done yet?
The work?
Yes.
No,
Okay. I misunderstood the email. Okay.
no, Mitchell's came out and got it functioning and the
Okay,
leak
okay.
ceased.
I misunderstood the email that
Yeah,
when you
so,
sent that.
no, we haven't engaged the
Okay,
work yet.
Okay.
Okay.
We can, sure. Absolutely. So I have tasked Jack to, over the last couple of months, to start, 5 or 10 minutes a week? Is that what I asked you for? Just to
At
start
least.
putting a list together, and we've had several lunches to discuss what I thought that needed to fit into that role.
The role
for an assistant. Yeah. We've talked a lot about the HR function. We've all seen a lot of information based on the HSA, how that's gonna play into that function. Purchasing, there's several facets to it. Jack came back with a couple ideas, and I'll let him share those ideas with you guys. But I think, look, actually, they all make sense. It just depends on which path we want to take.
Yeah, and so whatever you call the role, assistant administrator, whatever it might be called, that's what I'm gonna refer to it as now. Wanted to see the workflow, what things I got into, what things took time, what things somebody else could do that don't take, the administrator to deal with them at that point. And there are a lot of on-the-ground HR-related things that take up time that somebody could easily be working on. I think there are some purchasing type things, whether it's going after different prices on a water heater or tankless or, the regular tank type. There are some group purchasing things I think the person could tear into. The liability insurance each year takes time to get through. Somebody else could deal with that on a different level. So I think there's plenty that somebody could do and help out with that would release me to focus on some other things at the development side that we've talked about, or the park project, or just the higher level stuff that seems to kind of take a back seat because moving parts have to be done weekly, monthly. I have 2 tracks, in my mind, this is a younger, not in age, but in tenure in the industry, a younger person, potentially could be right out of an MPA program, which is a Master's of Public Administration, that is looking to get to the administrator, city manager role. probably that's what their goal would be. I've talked to the Center for Local Government. They do an intern type recruiting program, so I've thought, you know, an intern could make some sense. You get somebody 20, 30 hours a week out of the MPA program, paid internship, possibility to go full-time at the end of the internship, so it's, you know, maybe a 6-month deal where they're an intern and then they're either going full-time or you choose that they're not going full-time and then go to hire. So my thought is it's a younger in the industry person, probably are on a 3 to 5 year track to take another step. So I don't think they'd be here forever. It wouldn't be a forever position. And then you'd start back with the same type of thing. So I think the question for me to you is, you okay going after an intern, or are we set on let's just get someone hired and go from there?
How much time do you think that if they're coming out of a master's program, do you think they're going to actually be looking for an intern type position that might be just part-time and temporary? It seems to me if I came out of a master's program, I'd be wanting, of course I know I need to get some experience, but I don't want to get on with somebody that'd want to keep me around. Are you going to have any luck getting anybody doing that?
Will we have any luck getting anybody? I mean, remains to be seen who's out there. They'd still be in the program and just, you know, they'd probably have another semester or year to finish, whatever it might be.
So they'd be working part-time?
Yeah, as an intern, it would be no more than 30, but you gotta commit like 20 hours so we get some consistency.
And they're getting credit for that towards their masters as well, correct?
Yeah, well, it's a working experience.
right.
So I think there's enough to give to them from a mentor, kind of here, learn some of these things, to where they'd be interested in learning them and not afraid to do some of that mundane stuff that's necessary. Is there somebody out there interested?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
If you're gonna have to strongly mentor them, is that really gonna save you a whole lot of time? Depends on how good they are, I know.
in the end, it should. I mean,
If they stick around after their internship is over.
yeah, potentially, you know, looking at both sides of that, I think whether we go to try and hire somebody full-time, you know, if you want to get somebody who's got the experience, you're raising the salary number up higher. I'm okay getting somebody that's eager to learn and train them, you know, start a little lower, and the benefit is they get that experience and get their teeth into
Try to
some.
keep them around for 2 or 3 years, I think, as you mentioned.
Yeah, I would hope 3 to 5, and if they don't want to move on at that point, they're probably not eager enough to, you know, like.
This would be more of an assistant to the administrator than an assistant administrator.
Yeah, like I said, yeah, right, if you're gonna get into what they're called, I haven't,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, just the.
They wouldn't have
Yeah,
an authority on anything necessarily. I mean, you might have FMLA paperwork to fill out that, hey, make sure we're using the latest forms and make sure they're filling them out correctly and we get them filed correctly. That kind of thing, they do the on-the-ground stuff, and it would still be my responsibility to make sure they did it. But it would be that kind of thing, so they'd get experience with FMLA or whatever other processes have to be done, but they would be decision-making. I think that's where you were clarifying some of that.
Well, I certainly think there's a huge need for us to have that position. And do you have another path to take? And I guess that's just simply the full-time path.
Yeah, and as I looked at it and thought about what would make the most sense, I think that younger person in the industry is where it's at. You know, I don't want to try and make it too high of a level, because there's not enough of that responsibility to share in that regard.
It makes sense to me.
When he first brought the idea up to me, I was completely against it, and the more I thought through it and we talked about it, I think it does make sense. It's gonna give us the opportunity as well to see what that role is and what it needs to be, as we grow. So, I think it's the better of the two paths on many levels at this point. But he caught me off guard with it because I wasn't, you know, we've reached out to try to get things done with different universities, and I thought, well, if we had a hard time with that, is this gonna be easier? And realistically, this is a completely different animal, so.
The Center for Local Government has an intern program, so the gentleman who coordinates that is an MPA graduate, and I talked to him about it. He said, if I wasn't already doing this, that sounds pretty interesting as an intern gig. It's a paid gig, and you're gonna learn some things and be directly involved with the township and do a lot of the moving parts instead of relegated to just very specific stuff at a bigger place. So if you're okay going the intern path, I'll say let's go with this description, see what we get. If we don't get anything, then we'll probably have to change gears and look to just go out for a full-time hire.
Okay, Jack, I'd say run with it.
All right.
Go with it. Sounds good.
Agreed.
Great. Anything else, Jack, to bring up before we go into executive session?
More interesting to me is Wednesday, these tables are leaving to be fixed, just so you know.
And we do have somebody like to, has a comment, Phil?
Yeah,
Come on up, and if you would state your name so since you're getting recorded.
Phil Mullen, I live on up on Funnel Hill. I just wanted to stop in, so Chief Gerard, thank him, the 18 for watching my house, I was on vacation.
You're quite welcome. Hope you enjoy yourself.
Made everything. It would have been nice though. I come home, the plane was delayed because the airport was snowed in. If somebody had shoveled the strips off. But, you know.
Other than that,
Yeah,
you did a good job.
but 1:30 in the morning,
I think the fire department's there over shoveling.
well, I tried to get my brother to it, he picked me up and said he wasn't shoveling nothing. But I appreciate it, thank you, I just wanted to record.
We're happy to.
Thank you.
Thanks, Phil. Anything else?
We're ready when you are.
Guys, anything? Okay. All right, this time I'd like to entertain a motion to recess the regular meeting and go into executive session via resolution 4810. A motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Wade?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yeah.